Well, a couple of things going on today for us. Well, we had a beautiful day, first one for a while, 17 degrees. Mind you, we started at -1 in the morning. So if you saw my little post in the morning that I did regarding the frost overnight, yeah, the strawberries are over there. You can see they're still holding pretty ground because they're not young saplings. They're actually half decent mature plants, and I ripped them out of the ground. But if you've got young seedlings, they might cop a beating. The other thing that really annoys me with the environment, I'm going to choose my words carefully here. Birds. Because I've been away today, if I'm out of this garden for more than 4 hours at a time, they come in. They come in a swarm, and they just turn the place over into mush. It looks like I haven't spread my mulch out properly. Well, I'd have. And you can see what the birds have done. They flick it around. This is a decent sort of result. Anyway, this is not the topic. The topic is Big Malaka. Sometimes you might think that that's what I am. I almost stuffed that one up too. Cut. We released some online. Well, whatever we had left, we could afford to give out, folks. It wasn't many. It was only, I don't know. Anyway, whatever it was, they're gone. I have kept myself. These are the last year, the year before. You can see that's quite an old packet there. So I've been keeping these seeds for a while in a nice dry place in my pocket. No, I just put them in there now because they have to come out here. And this is the last of them too. So there's what I've got here. I'm going to germinate, grow into seedlings and plants, obviously, then plant out into the hothouse, which, yep, we're still building. But nevertheless, this will prompt me to get my arse into gear. Now, I'm going to sow them in this seedling tray, or seed tray, well, let's call it correctly, cell tray. It's a 72 cell tray. It's sitting in the base of a hothouse base. The lid's over here. You've seen me use these before in previous years. I haven't touched one of these for a long time, but anyway, this, mind you, I should say that for all of you who've got these, you know how plastic deteriorates really quickly, and you know how much I hate plastic, but we can't avoid it. At the end of the day, plastic. There's plastic inside my body anyway too. We all digest that, but not knowingly, unknowingly. This plastic's been in the sun for the last 3 years at least. Still pretty good, hasn't broken, hasn't become brittle, so there's a bit of a, bit of an investment there. So, well, a bit of an investment, $20 or so, but you've got it for 2-3 years at least. And the 72 cell tray sitting here. Now, what I filled this in with is the compost and cocoa sifted. And I've used this here, and I'm going to do another bout of that today, another round of that today. And I've already blended, this time I've blended the compost and the cocoa together. You can see all the thick, coarse particles in there, along with the fines and the hair-like pieces. All of that there is going to get sifted through this little unit here. You call it whatever you want. You can call it a strainer, you call it a sift. It's not a colander because there's too many bloody holes in it. It's designed for different purposes. So we're going to put that through here and shake it through. And you can see it comes out like rain underneath. Beautiful. And that's going to go on top. Now that's what I did to fill these cells up. Let me put these seeds down for a second, because I did this 2 or 3 days ago, or 2 days ago, and I put it aside. I gave it a light water over the top, as I just did now. And it hasn't changed what's happened. And what I'm referring to is the crusting over on the surface. Well, now actually it has changed. I softened it up because I left this outside in the harsh wind, so I didn't plant anything in. I thought, look, I'll deal with this another day, which is now. As I did pick it up, it was quite firm on top, crusty like almost, but as soon as I added, it just penetrated straight through. So there was no issue about water retention or not being able to be absorbed. It's just crusted over, and I think it's a combination of the cocoa, which has held it to bond together, still allowing water to penetrate. And if it has done a good job, well, look at this. I've got a couple of trays here. Oh shit, I've got 3 trays. Yeah, where's the big Malaka now, huh? I was thinking the bottom was the actual base of the lid, but it's not. It's 3 trays. I just picked it up. Anyway, so we'll get the base out in a minute, and that's the heat mat too, by the way. So for those that are trying to work out how you're going to heat your plants up or seeds up, thing you can do, sit it on a hot water unit. If you've got one of those outside, by all means, that's one of the best places to put it on, but you still need a lid over the top. So you're heating the soil up. We need to keep the constant temperature no lower than 16 degrees. 18 degrees is ideal, up to 22, maybe 23. Any more than that, yes, you will get a quicker germination, but you'll get dehydration even quicker. And if you don't hydrate the the cell or the medium you're growing in often enough, allowing to dehydrate is not a good thing for any seed, especially the small ones and tomatoes too. So you want to keep constant moisture, not drowning, but don't let it dry out for too long or extended periods of time, because that will knock the seed about and you'll get a bad result in the growth. Yes, some will germinate, if not all, but they're not going to be happy little plants, that's for sure. That's where you start off. You stress them out a little bit later on when you want the flavors to come through on the fruit. So now I'm going to sow these, and I've come out here just with a thought of doing this without preparing myself properly. And what I'm planning on doing is probably leveling this down a little bit more. I can scrape some out easily enough, that's it there. But what I want to do is create a little dimple like that. Now I'm just going to use my fingernail, that's all it is. Some of these are really low already in the cell, others are sitting almost level to the surface. I'm going to drop my seed in there. I don't want to drop it too deep. You want to keep the seed almost about the same depth as the seed's diameter, I suppose, a little bit deeper than that, and some of these have gone a little bit too deep. But anyway, what I'm putting on top is not a lot of soil. This is compost and cocoa sifted. You can do the planting mix as well, which is ideal because it's already got all the other wonderful goodies in it. But compost and cocoa, we're running specials on these too, folks, so always we want you all to get nothing but the best in your garden and not have to pay through the nose for it, because God knows we're all getting ripped off these days, aren't we, in every which way but loose. So we start the big Malaka sowing. I know some of you've done it already. I'm starting now, and I think, yeah, it's early for me. Well, not really. I suppose if I get the seeds to germinate in the next couple of weeks, I need a good 4 weeks. I'll be by the end of September. Hopefully the weather has behaved and then we can plant them out in the ground. More so, let's hope the bloody hothouse is up, eh? Because I ain't going to be growing anything out here the way the Lethbridge weather is at the moment. I've got one seed that just doesn't want to behave. One for you, one for you, one for you, and none for me at the moment. I'm going to be having the red stuff that comes out on the other end of these little seeds. 71, and we'll get this big one here. 72. First 72 big Malakas are in their space, folks. See how I've got a little dimple, slightly sunken. Now you can just choose to push them down and cover them over with the existing soil, but because I've already hydrated it, it's not gonna spread over easily. So what we're going to do, we're going to opt to sprinkle a little bit of sifted soil. It's a combination of our cocoa and compost together, straight in here like that. And all those fines that fall through is what you want to see on top of the seed, and all the core stuff, well, you want that back in the garden, because that's the stuff you want in the garden. Look at that, it's like icing on a cake, folks. Oh, I love that. Oh, I dropped some fat ones in there. It doesn't matter, that's on top. And the purpose of this is, the finer the stuff that they're growing in, the better they'll grow their roots out. They won't be struggling and pushing through and bending around all those large particles that are in the soil. Make sure they're all bloody in there properly, eh? Don't just, oh, I pushed it in too far. Well, if it doesn't germinate, you'll remember that I did that. Look at that. How cool is that? This is what you should be doing, making your own seed raiser mix. And the beautiful thing about this stuff here is when Sarah's growing her seedlings in this stuff and you're using our planting mix in the ground, the seedlings know exactly what they're growing in, because they've come from the same environment, beautiful, healthy, top-notch quality. And when they go in the ground, they say, the party's still going on here. Now we've done that. We may need to do a second topping, but before we do that, let's just spread that out slightly like that. Very delicate stuff here, folks. And then we water it in. Now you can use a watering can if you like. You can use the watering hose if you like. I've got some great things coming up in the near future about the watering, using a watering wand and a hose, things like that, but we'll talk about that later on. And what I've got in here basically is our Eco Butch and Liquid Gold, only about 5 ml of each. By eye, you know, a little bit more than that won't hurt, but 5 ml maximum really is what you should be doing with them. It's been sitting in here for a few minutes and we're just going to give it a light sprinkle over the top like that. So the bottle top sprinkler is ideal for this environment because it's delicate, doesn't dislodge the soil on top. Well, not too much, not enough to worry about. Yeah, and you've got to be careful you don't put too much water in the one space either. which is what I'm doing in some cases here, but a light sprinkle over the top. See how it's all sinking in? Seeds have disappeared, haven't touched it, naturally compressing. That's what you want. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this will crust over slightly on the surface, but not to the point where water won't penetrate. See how quickly it just sinks through? No issue at all, folks. Look at that. Now, you need the tray underneath. You can do it without it if you like, but the thing about that is, if you notice underneath, they do have a hole, and you want the water to come through. Now, in this sort of environment, when you've got a heat mat going on, you don't want to have the water running straight onto the heat mat like that. That's why we use the bottom base of the hothouse, so it's the lid and tray. So the bottom base, which is the tray, just like this one here, folks. We got it out of the compartment. Oh, get in there carefully. Sit in there. It does sink a little bit in the middle. This tray isn't made for this hothouse lid. The two companies don't communicate. I can't help that, but it does work. It does hold the moisture in there for you. And then you get your lid and you put it straight on top like that. And then you plug this up to gas and you heat up the base and you're cooking. They will germinate in a few days. If you've got the temperature right, thermostat, you can't just use a heat mat without a thermostat, otherwise it's going to be constantly hot. You don't want it to overheat. So use the thermostat as well. And put that in a nice safe place. Plenty of sunlight after they germinate. They really don't need a lot of sunlight. You know, indirect sunlight is good because, you know, sun rays activate soil life and things like that. So we want a little bit of that, but it doesn't have to be in the full blazing sun. Once they germinate, yes, otherwise they'll grow tall and lanky, and keep the lids closed because there's nothing there to happen. We're going to keep the vent closed for now. We're going to get this condensation cycle going on. So what will happen is at night time this will start to condensate. In the daytime it'll fall back down and it'll recycle the moisture on its own, so no extra water. But it's always good to check them. Always open them to see what your little darlings are doing, because spring's around the corner, folks, and the big Malaka tomato competition is on once again this year. We hold it every year. If you don't know anything about the big Malaka or what it is, or well, besides the fact that you know, some people are that, but on a funny side, on a happy side, the big Malaka is a tomato that we named many years ago, and we've been running a comp, and we've had up to 2.5 plus, no, 3, close enough to 3 kilos. 8 tomatoes. So if you haven't seen one of those, get onto our Facebook page. It's the Big Malaka Tomato Competition group. It's a private group, so you can just ask to join and we'll check you out. And if you do grow tomatoes, we'd love you to come along and join in, because it's all about gardening. It's all about sharing and caring. So you'll find the hothouse lid and tray on our website, along with the 72 cell tray. And I think we're giving the cell tray away with every bulk bag of planting mix or compost or cocoa, one of those. Check it out on our website. That'll be available. And the cocoa and compost, I tell ya, watch these germinate and then you'll be dying to do the same thing. So you don't need to get seed raising mix that's full of sand and other sort of gritty stuff in it. Just keep it simple. Compost and a little bit of cocoa for, you know, for penetration, for aeration, I should say. Everything will be fine. Vasili'sGarden.com from me, Vasili Baresi.